sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Monday, January 24th, 2022. Just 7 days left until February. Holy cow. I'm just going to say, wow, speechless. I often say tongue-in-cheek that, these games are scripted, which obviously they're not. We know that. But some people that are on the wrong side want to use the rigged word or scripted or whatever it is. But this weekend in the NFL, I'm speechless. I mean, Saturday you get two road teams, both dogs, both with walk-off field goals to win the game. So Sunday can't duplicate that. Oh, really? So now you get the Rams a dog against Tom Brady, defending Super Bowl champ, Mr. Rings himself. Get down 27-3. See, it wasn't 28-3. It was 27-3. And the Rams literally almost coughed up that game with a couple Akers fumbles and a Cooper Kupp fumble, which is unheard of. And next thing you know, it's 27-27. And then comes Mr. Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford, who, by the way, everyone, I don't see Twitter blowing up. They were waiting to blow up how Stafford and McVay all blew the game. Stafford's not a big game quarterback. Well, 2 plays later, in comes Gay, who, by the way, all pro. The guy is nails, okay? And on Twitterville yesterday, again, everyone says it was fake. How can a Pro Bowl kicker come up short on a 47-yard field goal? Well, ask yourself this. How many times have you stepped up to the tee box with a driver in hand and hit the turf before the ball or don't hit it clean and duff it? He hit the ball fat. That's all. I've seen the guy make 57, 58 yards. So in comes the game everyone's waiting for, Chiefs and Bills, and epic. And, of course, the OT rule. That's what everyone's talking about. Well, Patrick Mahomes' only loss in the playoffs came to a coin flip, and they lost the coin flip, and Brady came down and scored a touchdown. The real mistake was when Buffalo takes the score, the leading touchdown with 13 seconds left, and they didn't squib the ball. That was the mistake. Keep the ball in play. Once they have to field it, it's going to run off 3-4 seconds, and then Mahomes probably only gets one play. That was the play. But hats off to the Bills and Allen. This is your new Brady versus Peyton. You got Mahomes, you got Allen, and then you can sprinkle in Joe, Herbert, Lamar, whoever you want. But it was just absolutely off the charts. And I didn't even talk from a betting standpoint. And, I could talk for hours and hours, but let me bring in my co-host. And what we're going to try to do today is, again, I don't want to dissect these games, the coulda, woulda, shouldas. I mean, on paper, I talked about the Rams all week. I thought that if there was one upset, that was going to be the one. And you add the offensive line woes and the fact that, again, Tom's missing some of his key offensive players. Excuse me, coffee hasn't kicked in. That was the real trouble. But anyways, let me bring Scotty in. From Tampa himself, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, I could have talked for 30 minutes myself on the intro and just blah, 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 blah. But I figured I'd bring you in. What's going on, brother?
Hey, good morning, Jeff. And what is it? Welcome to the day after, right? I mean, I think everybody's going to sit here and think that these were the greatest games ever played and that there was a great weekend, and it was. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, those games were all won on the last play of every game, and somehow they all worked themselves out. I mean, even the Buccaneers game worked out where holy shit, they tied the game up, and then you know, then they blew it at the end. But it is what it is when it comes to these games, and it's interesting because I think that if you were in your own profession, whatever that profession may be, whether you're laying bricks or you're digging holes or you're building buildings or I don't know, whatever you're doing, and you got to a point where you're so far delayed in what you're doing or whatever, and you're behind, and then you get the rally pep talk or whatever, and then all of a sudden you go out there and you lay bricks faster and you do this and you do that, and then you get your building basically done by the end, and you go, well, where was this all the rest of the game? It's kind of like I don't know. I think that these guys get paid a lot of money to put their players in the right positions to win the games. And then, what I expected out of some of these teams and stuff finally happened for some of them and never happened for others. I think I was talking all week about how I thought Brady was going to be able to use Fournette, and he was going to be a big play person in that game. And then they started off running the football with him, which is fine. And then they started throwing him the ball, which he was wide open every time they threw the ball to him. And then I thought the tight ends were going to be a big factor in the game, and they were to a degree. But it's interesting. You go back and you look at some of the stuff that happens, and you go, I don't believe it, because well, here's what I will say. I think that Josh Allen is unbelievable. That guy is unbelievable. And then he got matched point for point, and that was what we talked about yesterday. Was I thought Mahomes would have to try to match him point for point, and even with 13 seconds left, he matched him point for point. I don't get it. I don't understand. There's no way that should have happened, but it did. What? Even if you're, what it was, who was it? Vrabel did that against. I don't remember who he did it against, but he reached out and he grabbed all the players and held them all. I mean, he got a defensive penalty, took 5 seconds off the clock, whatever it is, and gave up the yards and whatever. And that's what happens. So anyway, I think that there were some mistakes there in terms of what they did and didn't do as a team to deflate the time on the ball. But I'll also say this: when you're Buffalo and you got a defense like you got to stand up. I mean, it's time to stand up. I mean, I get it. It wasn't some no-name guy that went down there in those 13 seconds and beat you. Kelsey caught 2 passes in those 13 seconds and beat you, and he's going to catch all their passes if you let him. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting way to end the game. We went into overtime, and then the overtime rules everybody's complaining about, but holy shit, it's the same as it always is. It's been that way forever. I shouldn't say forever, but I mean it's just been that way. What do people want? Do people want them to play a 10-minute overtime and then quarter or something, and whoever scores the most points in that quarter? Only because it was Josh Allen and Mahomes yesterday. That's what people wanted more. If it was an overtime game where these two teams were, if it was 6-6 and it went into overtime, nobody would want a 10 more minutes. They'd be like, kick this goddamn thing and get it in and be over with the game. So I'm not upset with the rules. I think that if you know the rules, you gotta stop people. Anyway, that's just kind of how I felt. I felt tired after watching that game, to be honest. It was fun. Guys going up and down the field. I think Josh Allen thought he won the game twice, and he probably did win the game twice, for God's sakes. And then I was really surprised that when they went down, they scored and they thought they won the game. Then he had to go back and do it again, and then he did. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, in an interesting way things works out. And these guys, we talk about it in baseball games and stuff too, where they do stupid stuff. But I'm not saying they did stupid stuff. I just think they get in that ether zone and they're all in euphoria and they don't think right and they don't do the things that they need to do because it's not game planned out on a sheet of paper for them. And they had ways to kill off 13 seconds on the defense.
There's just so much. I mean, again, our job's not here to dissect what happened. Our job is to talk, numbers. Our job is to get people to the window. Our job is for myself, is to talk the market. Again, I said all week long that the Rams and the Tampa Bay game was leaking. It was 3 plus 100. And then it did drop to 2.5. So you had both sides there. I will say this: the sharper side was the Rams. I think the more public side was the Bucks on that one. And in the Bills, I said it from the opening line when they opened up that line Kansas City minus 1.5. It went straight to 2. It tipped to 2.5, but then it went to 2, 1.5. Even saw ones at kickoffs. Vegas made a stand on the Bills, and I think the public perception was this was going to be the changing of the guard. This was the Bills' time. And again, I'm not saying none of that was incorrect. Because listen, the game was won, like you said, 4 different times, twice by Kansas City, twice by Buffalo. And again, we talk about Cooper Kupp and the Rams. How can you not cover him? Gabriel Davis had 4 damn touchdowns. And hats off to Buffalo because everyone knows about Stephon Diggs. Well, whatever Kansas City was doing with Stephon Diggs, they said, all right, let's get Gabriel going. And the fact of the matter is, again, they were just 13 seconds away. I mean, the sports, the wide world of sports theme song, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. I mean, this one is going to sting for a long, long time. But again, when I woke up yesterday morning, Scott, I got to be transparent. I talked all week about the Rams, right? I wake up and I says, okay, 2 road teams on Saturday. So it's easy to take both road teams again yesterday. Take the Rams, take the Bills. But then as the brain starts working, I'm saying, I think that's both public sides. I really do. I know the Bills were the public sides. And I kept saying, I think the sharper side was the Rams. And the bottom line is in our action parlay, I okey-doked ourselves. I had the Chiefs, but I had the Bucks on the money line. And I knew right away it was the wrong side. There was no doubt it was the wrong side. Again, that Jedi mind tricks, when it came down to put that parlay together on Sunday. But it's a new week. It's over. It's done. Now it's time to actually talk shop about opening lines. And first of all, foremost, shout out to Colton. Talking the line. Colton, my brother, I look forward to having you on here Thursday afternoon. A lot of good stuff to talk about there. We'll be talking some mid-major action with you. And Marty, yes, the Titans broke all our hearts. It was a game where your defense, your front 7 was just phenomenal. 9 sacks. I talked about it. Scott talked about it. Our buddy Lucky talked about it all day on the timeline. Your biggest edge, I thought, was Vrabel, and Vrabel had one of his worst days of the year, I thought. And I think that, you can talk about Tannehill and the picks. Secondly, Marty, okay, if you watched the game, which I know you did, Dunta Foreman, hands down, looked a lot more impressive than Henry. I don't know why you didn't use Dunta Foreman more in that 4th quarter as well. But an amazing season, Marty. Nothing to be ashamed of. You got a great team there. And I look forward to next year, obviously. So thanks to both you guys for tuning in. Opening lines for this weekend. I will tell you this, Scott, as your Bucks Rams game was going on, one of our friends opened up Rams minus 4.5. Okay. And then in come the Bucks. The Bucks are charging back. They pulled it and then they opened it up at 3.5. Now, 49ers and Shanahan own the Rams. They're already 2-0 this year against them. Obviously, we know how hard it is to beat a team 3 times. What has to be taken into consideration here, Scott, is this. This is the 4th straight road game for the 49ers. They ended the season at SoFi. They go to Dallas. They go to Green Bay. Now they're going back to SoFi. Secondly, 60 minutes in the frozen tundra. And I know Debo limped off. I know Kittle limped off. Okay. So the point of the matter is this is where my eyes are. They opened it up at 4.5 for a reason. They pulled it down. It's now 3.5. I will tell you this. I am holding 49er futures from August and September, NFC champs and Super Bowl champs. We are also holding Chiefs plus 400 Super Bowl champs. So we are sitting in the catbird seat right now. I'm not going to do anything with the Chiefs. Listen, Joe's had a great run. I think they're going to be around for a while. Do I expect them to beat the Chiefs? No, I don't. Do I expect it could be a competitive game? Yes. And I do see if the Chiefs come in flat after this past weekend, it's going to be scary. Don't forget, Burrow got sacked 9 times. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him there. But back to the Rams 49ers, as much as a 49ers fan as I am, as much as I want to see them get there, a lot of people talking the rematch to 49ers and KC from a few years ago. Today, as we speak, I see it hard pressed for the Niners to win on Sunday.
Yeah. Of anything.
Oh, and by the way, I didn't say Chiefs are -6, by the way. Chiefs are -6.
Of anything, I don't see where this is an advantage for. I mean, it's not a good thing that they got to travel all this time for San Francisco, but I will tell you that the Bucks had to do that last year. If you're good enough, then you're good enough. And I think the problem that you're going to run into in this game is that you've played this team too many times. They know each other too much, and that conference this is one of the, what was it, 17-0 when and they came back from 17-0 and they won the game in overtime or something. So I just think that's that there was a lot on the line in that game for San Francisco. I think they had to win to get in, and they did. But the one thing that is always interesting about these things is that defense travels. And if your defense is playing at a high level, and they did against Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay went right down the field, scored a touchdown, and then they gave up 3 more points the entire game. After that, in an environment that is not conducive for a team from San Francisco to play well in. And so I don't know. I mean. What was I'm trying to go back here and get what was the lines in those games? I gotta click the right buttons to get these numbers. But anyway, I was looking at some of that stuff, and I was looking at that, the Bengals game where they've scores. I'm almost there. We'll get there in a second if I can find the right buttons to push. Here we go. Rams. What was these numbers? So against the 49ers at home, they were 3.5-point favorites just on January 9th. And when it was in San Francisco, they were 3.5-point favorites in San Francisco, Jeff. So the Rams have never been not a 3.5, 4-point favorite. And against the 49ers. So interesting to kind of think about that. I don't know what was going on back there. I'll have to go back and do some research to see why the Rams were favored in San Francisco, for God's sakes. So I think it's interesting that these numbers come out that way, because the truth of the matter is they mean a lot. They say a lot, and especially on these games where they've already played each other. It's interesting to me too that San Francisco has beaten this team twice, and yet they're still the same underdog that they were in every other time they played them. So there's something there. There's something there with the game flow and the different things and what's going on that the Rams are still the favorite, even though they get beat. Go ahead.
I was just going to update, and a little apologies on my end. Kansas City is a flat 7 now with a 54. I'm glad Wager Talk is showing the 4. It's now 3.5 plus 100 on that. And I'm going to use a dog track phrase that I use there. I call it the flash and fade, and it happens in horse racing too, where a horse gets out or a dog gets out, gets to the lead, and then just crashes and burns. All right. And then the next race, you see him go box to wire. Okay. I kind of used that thought process on that 17-0 Rams and 49ers, where they had the game at hand and they just pooped themselves. And again, I love the 49ers. Obviously, I talked about them till I'm blue in the face in August and September, not just here. I was on the weekly LA show, and I talked it all around. And they had some hiccups, and a lot of it had to do with the health of Jimmy G. Okay. Now, with that being said, around week 7, Shanahan starts using Debo more in the backfield. So that opened up some stuff. You said something that is so spot on, and anyone watching and listening needs to grab this and hold on to this all the way to Sunday till you get to the window. Vegas has not budged from their thoughts and their numbers with the Rams. You said Rams were favored at San Fran, lost. Rams were favored at home, lost. No one's hotter than this 49er team. No one wants to play this 49er team. Yet they opened up the Rams again, -4. They are not getting off that number. They're going to let the public drive that number down. Rams win. They host the Super Bowl like your Bucks did. Where is there more pressure right now? Is it on McVay finally to get this done? Is it on Stafford, who finally got a playoff win under his belt? Or I think all the pressure is on the Rams. The Niners are playing with house money, yet they opened up 4-point underdogs.
Well, it's interesting. I'm uncomfortable with the Rams as a favorite at this point in these meaningful games at the end. It's not that I don't think they're a better football team or a worse football team. I just think that I'm uncomfortable with the idea that you're ahead 17-0 against San Francisco and you couldn't put them away. You were ahead 27-3 or some shit against the Bucks, and it became 27-27. So and you got to take care of the ball. And you got to do the right things. And I'm just uncomfortable with that team in that regard. It doesn't mean I won't bet on them or whatever. I mean, you gotta bet where you think that the value is, and you got to bet where you think that you're going to get your money returned from. Anyway, that being said, the other game I thought, when you look at, Kansas City played Cincinnati. They played in Cincinnati, and in that game, Kansas City was 3.5-point favorites on the road.
Opened at 5, by the way.
They are 3.5-point favorites. Total was 51. The final score was 34-31. Cincinnati won the game. They won that game on a walk-off field goal, I guess was what they're calling these things now, walk-off stuff. So I went back and I tried to look at some of that stuff. And here's what I'll tell you is we just saw 2 of the best quarterback play that you're going to see ever yesterday in Mahomes and Allen in that game. And when I go back and I look at the numbers from this game, from the Bengals and the Chiefs, Mahomes had a good game, but he was outplayed by Burrow. I mean, it's unbelievable how some of this stuff kind of manifests and where these guys are coming from and what. And yes, he was sacked 4 times in that game by Kansas City. Kansas City sacked him 4 times. And when you look at the raw numbers that come out of it, Burrow threw the ball 39 times. Okay, well, that's not what Brady threw the ball over 50 times yesterday, which is not a winning formula, by the way. I mean, that's not what you're supposed to do when you're talking with unless you throw it the way they need to throw it. But anyway, so Burrow was 30 for 39 against the Chiefs. 446 yards, Jeff, almost 500 yards in the game. 4 touchdowns, and yes, he was sacked 4 times. And they were behind in the game. At one point, it was at halftime. It was 28-17, but at one point in time, it was 21-7 in that game. So then they come back, and if you think about it, if it's 28-17 at halftime, they didn't let the Kansas City score in the whole second half, because the final was the Bengals had to kick a field goal right at the very end, 31-31. The Chiefs, they made it 31-31 with 6 minutes to go in the game. And then the Bengals kicked a 20-yard field goal at the end, 34-31 to win it. Right at the buzzer, there's no time left on the clock. So interesting how all that stuff sort of plays out. Kansas City ran the ball 23 times in that game for 155 yards. So they did really good on the ground running the football, which is kind of an interesting thought when you think about it. Because the running backs in that game was Darrell Williams and Derek Gore. Those were the running backs for the Chiefs in that game, and they ran the ball that well and did the Darrell Williams had 88 yards rushing, Mahomes 25, Derek Gore 37 yards rushing. So they ran the ball really well, and now they actually have running backs. So I'm not sure what it's going to be like when they play them this time. I get the -7. And after watching what we just watched, I mean, it could be -21, and people are going to go still bet the Chiefs.
Got knocked out early in that game yesterday, concussed. I'll be interested to see if he bounces back and is able to play on Sunday. Again, when you clear the smoke, I think obviously a lot of experts or so-called experts are going to overlook exactly what happened in the Cincinnati-Tennessee game, and that's really where I think you got to start. Is listen, the fact he was sacked 9 times. Okay. He's going to get pressured again. The fact that, again, you hit a good point there. McKinnon has looked awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. And Andy used CEH as the changeup guy, and he looked good again. Tyreek, Kels, they're going to get their stuff. Pringle had a good game. So my point is, again, Kansas City has been there. They were a coin toss away from this could have been their 4th straight Super Bowl. Okay. I expect a good game. It's funny. They opened up the under over at 51. It shot right to 54 and a half. Why? Because everyone remembers what they saw last. So if you take the open and under over of 51 and you use the 7, what is it, around 28, 29, 29, 22, which you can't get there. So they're basically telling you initially like a 28, 21. somewhere in that. You use the Tampa model as, they're going to get to 30, and they fell short. They got to 27. I don't think this is going to be the shootout at the OK Corral that everyone thinks it's going to be either. I could see the Kansas City defense, putting pressure on Joe. I can see them running the ball effectively. And again, I'll just say this on Monday. Would I be shocked? I use the word shocked. If the Bengals won the game, would I be shocked? Would I be shocked? I wouldn't be shocked, because they have the offense to do it. It's what is their defense going to do? And we talked, Mr. Lucky, we talked weeks ago about Carlson, the kicker from the Raiders. We talked about McPherson weeks ago. Check the boxes where you got the edges. And Butker missed extra point, missed field goal. So you got to check the box with McPherson there. You check the box with Andy Reid. You got to give a slight edge to Mahomes since he's been there before. The offensive weapons are kind of sort of the same. It comes down to the defense, and we'll go as the week progresses. But I'm going to say at this point, because you've already told me this week to week to week here, to check a lot of boxes on the defensive side versus the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't want to say the Bengals are lucky to be where they are, because that's not the truth of the matter at all. They have they were just in a spot to get to where they are. Let's just put it that way. And in my opinion, Tennessee was the better football team. They just didn't play like they were the better football team, and the coaching decisions that were made and the other stuff that happened. I will be very shocked if the Cincinnati Bengals can beat the Chiefs in this culture and in this environment. Now, I will say this. That was a hell of a football game yesterday, and one of the comments that I think should be put out there is how many people are going to be disappointed if the Chiefs don't go to the Super Bowl now? Because what if the Chiefs are banged up and they gave everything they had to win that football game against Buffalo, and their reward is not to go to the Super Bowl? I mean, it's not. They got another game to play. And what if they don't come into this game fired up? What if they don't come into this game ready to go and they're banged up because they gave everything they had in that game? And now Cincinnati comes into this game as a good football team, not a great football team, but they got a great quarterback. So they got these guys, and if you don't have a great quarterback in the league today, you're not going to win anything. So it takes. I wish that game was the AFC Championship game. That's what I wish, because then they got 2 weeks after that game is over. They could kind of recover from all the stuff and the bangs and the bruises and the beat ups and everything that they gave to win that game. But now they got to go out there and go through all that again, and they got to beat the Bengals, who I don't want to give no credit to, because they're there where they are because of their offense, not because of their defense. And I will say this: at the beginning of the year, it wasn't really that way. At the beginning of the year, their defense was pretty stout, but they're not the same defense as what even Kansas City is. So I'm interested to see kind of how that progresses, and that number being 7, Jeff, will tell us a lot, because if it gets to 7.5 and then it gets to 8, that means that nobody gives a real batootie about the 7, and that they think it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a whitewash game. So, and the other game is a really difficult game in a sense to try to be on the 49ers in, only because they won twice. They won as underdogs twice. It's a conference game. Everybody knows each other. They know exactly what they're going to do in those games. And then we got to check on the health of what's going on there. And the Rams should get healthier in that game. And I'm not so sure the 49ers got healthier after the game that they just played. They might be banged up more, but I think you'll get Whitworth back at left tackle for like the Rams, and you might get their safeties back. And if they get that back, then they're riding pretty strong.
We'll be talking all week about both games. Again, hats off to an amazing weekend. It couldn't have been scripted any better. Sure, 4 walk-offs. I guess, as you said, that's what we're calling them. Um, I feel for the Bills. I really do. Everything was set up for the changing of the guard. Um, you're just going to have to sit on this one and just get better. Again, I think if you go back during the season, I mean, let's be realistic. If this game's in Buffalo and they play like that, I think it's reversed. Buffalo wins the game. The fact that it was in Kansas City, and I know it was only 13 seconds left, but again, I think Buffalo, I said all year long, if they got the number 1 seed, it was going to be almost virtually impossible to go in there and beat them. And the fact that they were on the road as a 1-point underdog tells you what Vegas thinks as well of this Buffalo team of Josh Allen. So they're not going anywhere. It's the new Peyton versus Brady. So with that said, Scotty, I mean, we're already 37 minutes in. I know it's a short NBA board. 2 games postponed, Chicago, Atlanta, and Philly, Houston. Actually, there's 4 games. There's a write-in game, Oklahoma, Kansas, Oklahoma City, Chicago, which is kind of funny. You got Chicago opened up only a 1.5-point favorite against OKC, which I find quite hilarious. But you see anything in the NBA board?
My numbers and their numbers are pretty damn close today. So just kind of give you an idea, I've got Cleveland by 5.7 in the line 6. I've got New Orleans by 2.6 in the game's 2.5, and I got Phoenix by 7.5 in the number's 9. I'm not seeing enough variance for me to be in there. And then totals wise, I've got that Utah Phoenix game 221.7 and it's 221.5. I got Indiana and New Orleans game at 217, and I think it's 215.5. The only one that I'm going to try to really keep an eye on is this New York Cleveland game, because I got the number at 209 and it's 202. So that tells me that for whatever reason, they don't think these teams are going to score 100 points very bad. And I've got the final score 101-108, which is 209, and it's sitting at 202. So if that trickles down a little bit, I might do something on it this afternoon.
Do you have anything on the write-in game, Chicago OKC, or since it was?
I didn't even see the write-in game on the thing, so I didn't plug in the numbers. But I will tell you the reason that the Bulls aren't really big into that. They just got beat yesterday by Orlando, and now coming home. So that's not a good spot necessarily for I don't know for them to be playing in OKC. To be honest, let me pull up my numbers just for a second here. This website won't take but a second. But the OKC has been playing much better than what you might think they have been. I'm trying to see here. So over the last 5 games, OKC, they've been giving up a lot of points. They don't score worth a shit. But where is Chicago? Chicago's they're negative 5 points or negative 4.8 on the differential between offense defense, and the pace is 97 possessions per 100, and Oklahoma City's pace 97.5 in that same 100, and they are minus almost 12 on differential just in the last 5 games. Chicago's lost the last 2 games. Oklahoma City's lost the last 5 straight games, and Chicago at home has been pretty good. They won their last game, and they are they're negative A4F, which means the 4 factors to win basketball games. They're in the negative at home, and that's not a good spot to be in. But they're going to be. I mean, OKC is not the greatest basketball team in the world, and they're actually one of the worst teams in the league, and everybody kind of knows that. But I would say they're they've lost 4 straight away games too. So I just didn't put any numbers together. I can look real quick. There might be a reason. Let me see something else real fast. There might be a problem with who's playing in that game. Lonzo Ball is still out. Levine is a game time decision, so he might not play. And Javonte Green might not play in that game for the Bulls. And it looks to me like there's not really too much of a problem with the Thunder right now with people that you're playing.
I want everyone on the college ranks. I got a game for you guys to follow today. This is a Vegas Jedi mind trick for you, Scott. You ready? I'm going to give you this one. This is hilarious. It's a 7 o'clock tip-off. Rotation number 869, 870. NC Wilmington at Northeastern. And I can tell the world right now, Northeastern is butt ugly this year. Horrendous. Listen to these stats, Scott. NC Wilmington, 11-5 overall, 5-0 in league play. Winners of 8 in a row. Travel to Northeastern, 6-12, losers of 8 in a row. Yet Northeastern opened up 3-point favorites. So
there's a reason for that.
Welcome to my world. Already down to 2.5. We'll be probably 2 by kickoff, guys. If you don't follow us on the closing bell, okay, just keep an eye on Northeastern today. If it drops down to 1.5, you can get them around minus 118, 120 on the money line. Take the points out of play. But that is hilarious. Hilarious. But that's what Vegas does, and that's what we do, is we try to find these things and then shake our head and say, holy tamale.
Maybe they just inputted on the board wrong, Jeff. They made a mistake and typed the wrong little plus sign, little minus sign.
OMG. Alrighty. Our goal is simple. Our goal is here to inform, to educate. We do try to entertain, but that's all we ask for you. Very simply is this: is if you're not following us, follow us. Follow us on Facebook at East Coast Sports Investors. Follow us on Twitter at EC Sports Invest, at Webby20MLB. But where we really need some help, guys, is on YouTube. Go over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors and subscribe. It's free. Turn on your notifications and never miss a show. That's it. I mean, and if you're at work, you're in the shower, you're on the golf course and you missed a show, you can go back. They're taped. We're an open forum. The goal here is to answer questions. Colton reached out today. Marty Lowe reached out today. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. And our goal is simple. We want to get you better educated, where you can win, grin, and profit. I'll be 100% transparent, which we are anyways. We're in the start of our 7th year. January hasn't been kind to us. We just can't get any traction. We started out this past week 3-0, Scott, 3-0. On Monday, 3-0. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we go 1-2. And we had a plus 300 dog for some pizza and beer money. We had a plus 240 pizza and beer money. But again, could not gain any traction. Got to Saturday, 2-2 in college basketball. And then we took a shot with Marty's Titans in the first half, and we lose there. And Sunday's our action parlay. We had the Chiefs money line, but it didn't matter because we had the Spurs to win plus 110 in the money line, and they lose to the Sixers. So it didn't matter if we had Tampa or the Rams anyways. But the point is, Guy, we had a losing week. Yeah, that's right. We had a losing week, and I'm not running from it. It was up at 6 this morning, already going through the board, trying to, figure out what to do today. So if you're in for the marathon approach, run to your local finish line, wherever you go to get sneakers, get yourself a new pair of Nike or running shoes, and enjoy the ride. That's all I can say. If you are on the edge of your seat, living off of every extra point, living off of the final 13 seconds, and you're frustrated and you're pressing and you want to bet more and more and more, double down, triple down, you got too much on the game. All right. So if you are a $100 player and you're in this funk, back off. Bet $50 a game till the traction gets better. And then they'll say, Jeff, well, $50 doesn't make or break me. It does nothing for me. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear you're on the edge of the seat complaining when we're not getting these breaks because they all are supposed to even up. Okay. So when the going's good, then you can go from $1 player to $1.10, $1.20, $1.25. When the going's not good and you're $1 player, go down to 85, go down to 75, go to your comfort zone till the traction gets going, till we start picking up the speed, and then everyone's happy.
Yeah, I think that what most people think they know versus what they don't know about what we do in terms of interactions with people. I'll be honest. And it's not that I'm not ever honest, but I mean it just coming across that way. Sometimes I think people think we're a little goofy, but I will say this: that most interactions we have with people are in a negative connotation, not in a positive connotation. And it's because we provide plays. We tell you who to go bet on, and you're expecting us to be perfect, and I get that. 100%, I get that. And I, at the same time that I get that, I think I even told Jeff this the other day. I am not one of these guys that if I won't put my own money on it, I'm not going to give it to somebody else. I just won't. I'll call it a lien if I didn't put my own money on it. And I'll be honest, the liens win a lot because I'm a pretty conservative guy. I'm a pretty conservative player. Now, having said all of those things, and having said it, I guess in the most politest way I can say it, is that what the general public kind of has to get to the understanding is I'm not going to react to you and to your negativity onto whether I'm doing well or whether I'm not doing well. Your expectation of me is that I'm going to be perfect every time that I give out a play, and if I'm not, then you're gonna basically rub my nose in it a little bit. And if I go on a really bad streak, then I get beat up and thrown in the corner and never talked to again. I get all of those things, but I'm still here. I'm still doing all of these things, and I don't worry about what everybody else's opinion is. I love this industry, and I love helping people, and I love the conversations that we have. And one of the things that is very interesting, and what I don't know if everybody's picked up on yet or not, we bring it up every once in a while, is, and Lucky did it the right way. He said, we're the odds couple. And the truth of the matter is, you are as far different a handicapper than I am than anything else in the world. And usually that doesn't work. Usually those two combinations are like oil and vinegar or oil and water or whatever it is. And the truth of the matter is, the way you see things and the way I see things are way different. The best thing that we do, Jeff, is we provide information. We tell people who we're betting on, and then we allow them to make the choices that they want to make. And then we go over everything from that perspective. So whether you've had a good week or a bad week and all those things, I feel for you. I really do, because I know what the clients do. The clients, they call you on the phone and they beat you up and they do this and they do that. And then, you feel like you have to make a statement somewhere down the line. I don't do that anymore. Whether I win or I lose, it is what it is. And I give everything that I have to this. And if I'm wrong on something, then I'm just wrong on something. I was wrong on the Bucks yesterday and still almost pulled it out of my duty. But the truth of the matter is that I feel for us in this business and in this spot for those things. But I also sit here and go, we don't have to be on TV. We don't have to be out here telling people what to do and how to do it. We don't have to be providing a service in the business space that we do. But I'm glad we do, because I think of the two people between you and me, and then the guests that you have and the guests that we know and the people that are around us, we're not surrounding ourselves with certain people in this business and certain people that are not here for the entertainment value as much as they are for their own personal gain and all that stuff. We're not in here with those people, and we're not out sharing their opinions on things unless we're trying to go opposite of what they're doing. The truth of the matter is there's people out there that will hurt you, meaning that they will give you the wrong information on purpose. They will give you whatever it is just to get you to pay them money. I don't think you and I have ever asked these people on this channel for money. We've asked you to go and do certain things for us. But certainly, we would love for you to help our endeavors and our businesses and our structure of what we're trying to get accomplished here. But that doesn't mean that we want you to come out here and go, hey, here's $100 because you're giving me picks today. I've never asked for that. I'm expecting a different way of things to happen here because of what we're doing. But anyway, all that being said, Jeff, I appreciate what we do. I appreciate the information that we give to everybody. And I guess the statement that I'm really basically trying to make is I'm at an age and at a point where people can say whatever they want to say about me, or what they can say whatever they want to about you. I know what we do. I know how we do it. We're upfront. We're straightforward. We give out the information, and we're not we don't give two sides of every fence, and we're good at what we do. And if that's not good enough, well, I mean, then keep listening, because here's the real truth. There's a lot of people out there that listen and hope you lose. They don't want you to win.
And I'm going to close with this. And I've talked about this a lot. I haven't talked about it lately, but I'm just going to give facts. The break-even number is 51.9%. That's your minus 110. That's your break-even point. 52 to 54%, you are considered sharp and an expert. Anything over that, you're banking and making money. So the start of our 7th year was January 1st, 2015, and documented. I pay an accountant daily that does my spreadsheet. We are over 56% for 6 full years in the start of our 7th year. So go back to the basic math. If the break-even point is 51.9%, that means you are going 52 and 48 every 100 games. Okay? Experts, sharps, are going 56 and 44 every 100 games. I'm sorry, 52 to 54%. So 50. So if you go 54 and 46, okay, anything over that is making bank. It's blowing it off the charts. So if you're at a 56%, we were at 56.8, 56.6. We go into this year, I think, at 56.3% coming into this year. So we're again at that 56 and 44 rate. Now, we do a lot more than 100 plays in a year. But the fact of the matter is, again, not everyone sticks to the script. Everyone will take your plays and play your plays, but then they have 4, 5, 6, 8 others on their own side. And I have no control over that, what you do. So there's weeks that we go 8 and 2 and you go 2 and 8. Well, there might be a week that we go 4 and 7 and you go 7 and 4. But I only can grade what we release. And lastly here, and this is the hardest part for me, Scott, is we try to give everyone the most value and the biggest edges possible. Okay, I talk about the futures market. So if you're not sitting there in August and September with 49ers NFC champs and Super Bowl champs coming into this Sunday, you can't get the same value or hedge opportunity that I can. Okay, and the same with the Kansas City. If you didn't buy the Kansas City plus 400 before the kickoff of the Tennessee-Cincinnati, once Cincinnati beat Tennessee, you couldn't get that. So you are going into Sunday's game. I got Kansas City plus 400. I'm not touching it. I expect them to win, and I will roll that into the Super Bowl. Now, what I do with the 49ers ticket is a whole nother story. I mean, do we take the Rams money line? Do we take the Rams plus 190 to win the Super Bowl? Okay, so if they get a Rams Chiefs, I'm guaranteed money. So these are all the options that we have to weigh out going into Sunday. But the sermon here is, if you're not playing the futures or you're using us as a buffet, There's nothing I can do. What's the saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Well, I think everybody, when we talk about this business, the very first thing is manage your bankroll. That's the number one thing. You got to be good at picking all that stuff and all that stuff too. But that's a whole separate part of this business, understanding what your bankroll is. And what we do sometimes probably isn't perfectly clear to certain people. Sometimes we give out information and we're doing this or we're doing that, and it's not that we're trying to put a puzzle together or whatever. But when you leverage future bets, that becomes a strategy in itself that most people are uncomfortable with because most people aren't doing that. They're just going out there and saying, okay, I want to know what's going on this weekend or what's going to happen today. And how's come we're not playing on, I don't know, well, the New York Cleveland game today or whatever. And that's what they're looking at. And it's like anything else that you come across. And when you start to do these things, strategy is part of being a winning player. And managing your bankroll through a strategy is very smart. But they have to understand exactly what it is. And if they have questions, we don't get enough. What I mean by that is, guys, we'll tell you exactly what we're doing, and we'll tell you exactly why we're doing it. All you got to do is ask us. I've mentioned the Discord channel several times, and I put a lot of stuff in the Discord channel, and there's stuff in there about how to do all kinds of different things. That stuff's not free. That stuff is something that at this point where it's a premium service or whatever. So if people are interested in doing those things, just let us know. I mean, we can sign you up to get in there. I think it's like $30 a month or something. Anyway, that all being said, all you've got to do, guys, is ask questions, and I'm trying to get it to a point where, Marty's talking to us on here, and Colton's talking to us on here, and other people talk to us through here. But I don't really think that you guys really understand that we're here to try to give you what we're doing. We're not sitting here trying to hide anything. We're going to help you through what we do, and we're going to give it to you as best that we can. Try to be as clear as we can. Because sometimes it gets a little convoluted and the terminology is, crazy, and CLV and EV and all the other acronyms and all the other things that go on in this business. And leverage and hedging and all that stuff, if you're not familiar with it, we'll show you the ropes. But you got to ask the questions. And that's where I'm sitting here going, we don't get it very many. And the ones we do get aren't sometimes very good. So we need to be able to help and coach and teach and have everybody understand why we do stuff. Because it's just like we talked the other day. There's a guy out there that, if you're playing underdogs and you lose all the time, you're going to have a losing percentage, but you still might win your bank account because you're playing the plays and doing the things the way you're supposed to do them. And you follow suit with everything you do, and we'll see what happens at the end.
And that's my whole ending, close, whatever you want to say here, is just be consistent. You cannot cherry pick, use it as a buffet. Well, I'm not going to play this, but I'm going to play this. We know what happens. You didn't play the winner and you played the loser. And again, well, I'm not going to play this future because it has no chance, but I'll play this future. And the list is endless. And I know I not ranted it, but I wanted to get this out there because on Saturday, it was Saturday. I said, when we released the Titans first half money line, I says, hey, listen, just go play the Chiefs plus 400 Super Bowl champs. I'll talk to you about it in the morning. And sure enough, Cincinnati wins the game. And of course, all the AFC futures are now pulled after that game. And people now understand why. I had 24 people reaching out after Cincinnati won, all Buffalo fans. Hey, do you have a number? Do you have a number? I guess, and I said, let me guess, for Buffalo to win the Super Bowl. They're like, yeah, how did you get that? How did you know? I was like, because you didn't do it before the Cincinnati game. So now you're saying if we beat the Chiefs, we're hosting the Bengals. I was like, you got to be one step ahead of the game. That's the key. You got to be that one step ahead. That's all.
Well, this industry comes down to timing a lot. And you know, it used to be that we had to talk about the time of the week we were going to make a wager, because when was the number going to move and when is this money going to come in? And you know, you sit here and you know, okay, when they open the line, they only open it to a few numbers, and then on Tuesday or Wednesday, usually Wednesday, they open it up so you can make bigger bets, and then all of a sudden on Friday is when it really happens, and then all of a sudden the money moves, and then you talk about, well, we want to get ahead of this, or we want to get ahead of that, or we don't care about it this way because the numbers are going to move in our direction, whatever. But now with COVID and all these people getting hurt and the different things and the disclosures of the games and the, you know, to what Tristan Wirfs, you know, going to play, he's walking around and he's not going to, and then all of a sudden he's not going to play the 90 minutes before the game. So, you know, you have all kinds of different things that are being, you know, disclosed so late, and so things, the comfort zone of being able to know the timing on certain things is important. And you know, you've been around the block, I've been around the block. We kind of understand what that looks like, and then other people being in a position to react at the same time we've done something is not necessarily optimal for some people, but at the same time they got to understand what we're doing and how we got there. So anyway, that's sort of my thoughts on it.
Want to thank everyone watching and listening. Marty, Colton, everyone jumping on board. Good morning. Let's have a great week today. Starting today, new week, new start, new beginning. If you haven't, just jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investor. Subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a couple friends. And I need you to go over to Twitch too. Anyone with a Twitch account, get over to Twitch at East Coast Sports Investors. We got some big stuff brewing. Hopefully we'll be debuting this in February, some live streaming, some in-game, some halftime numbers, where to go, where not to go. So always remember this. If you are wagering today, always wager and invest responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number there. Why? Because we care. Ask for help. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, Scott Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish you a happy-go-lucky Monday. Have a blessed day, and we will see you at 4:30 and the closing bell.